Hey, Golden Eagle fans, welcome. Thank you for your time, and thank you for inviting us into your lives. I'm here today with Todd McCall, our head trainer, and we're going to talk a little bit about what he does for a living. But for this week's segment, we're taking you inside the training room, which is really the foundation for keeping our student athletes healthy, on the field, and competing hard. I will tell you that when I was playing here, I had Doc Harrington, Jim Gillespie, and it seems like I spent more time in here. That's probably just what.
That's not good.
Not good. Too slow. I just kept getting hit and caught. But we had a great week. We hired a new head football coach. You're aware, Todd Munkin. Just saw him a minute ago, and he is moving 200 miles an hour, recruiting, bringing in a staff, and getting ready to return this organization to toughness. But today we're going to talk about Southern Miss and how we handle the business of looking after the health needs of our athletes in a training perspective. Mm-hmm. And Todd McCall's been, if there's a better one in the business, he's nowhere in the United States. This guy's at the top of his game. We're very blessed to have him. Todd, tell our folks something about yourself.
Well, originally I'm an Alabama native. I grew up in the southeastern corner of the state in a little town called Elba, Alabama. After graduation, I went to the University of Alabama, to the Capstone, got my undergraduate degree in athletic training and sports medicine. And then I was lucky enough to come here and get my master's in sports administration and work under Jim Gillespie and be around Doc Harrington. And, the one thing I think I'm very fortunate about is the fact in my undergraduate and graduate experiences, I had the opportunity of working under two Hall of Famers from the National Athletic Trainers Association. So I've had the ability to travel around the country, I guess you could say. I've been to the Canadian Football League. I've worked in the National Football League. After my graduate experience here, I went to Georgia Southern for a year. Okay. Got an opportunity to take over the football program at Marshall University in the late 90s. And from there, I went to Wyoming for a couple of years. And after coming back here in March of 2003, I'm just, I guess you can say, working towards finishing my 10th year here at the university and moving forward from there. So this career is very, very flattering and enjoyable for me. There's nothing like working hand in hand with these athletes, seeing them, from when they come in as an uninjured package, walking them through the injury process and the recovery process, and then the fruits of my labors really are seeing these athletes go back to the playing field and be successful at what they came here to Southern Miss to do, and that's be a collegiate athlete, be a good student athlete, and have a lot of success both on and off the field.
Now it seems like whenever I leave, the light never turns off in here.
Well, we're always here early.
Yeah.
I always tell all of our recruits that, we're usually the first ones to darken the doors in the mornings, and we're, always the last ones to leave once the last person walks out of that locker room across the hall or out of the weight room, depending upon what sport you are. We see a little bit of everything that happens within this department, but we also follow every step of the process with all these athletes while they're here, both on the field and in this building throughout their daily lives.
I'm going to put you on the spot. All the years you've been doing this here at Southern Miss, 10 years, who's the toughest football player that, toughness in terms of a willingness to play with pain, a desire to no matter what get back on the field, and no matter what would fight you, to get back out there? Who is that one guy, if you can identify?
Well, I tell you what. Now, after being a graduate assistant here back in the Adelius Thomas days, and you had Sherrod Gideon, Todd Pinkston comes to mind. Okay. Moving forward into starting in 2003, we had a guy named Gerald McGrath that came through here. Very, very tough individual. As we look at the guys that we've got right now, Kendrick Hardy always rings a bell.
Sure.
Hard worker, very good work ethic. All of those guys, hard workers, very good work ethics, and it was hard to pull those guys off the field. You didn't ever have to worry about trying to get them back on when they were injured. It was always harder to pull them off the field than it was to get them back on the field after they suffered an injury. So
that's part of who we are. So
exactly.
Return to toughness. So
exactly.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you take our viewers? Let's show them what you do here.
Okay. If you look back back to 1997 when I was here as a graduate assistant, the facilities and everything here have changed drastically. The old Fairchild Field House, the athletic training room, was about as big as what our hydro area back in here is right now. And back here in the hydro area, we've got a SwimX pool that a lot of our kids come and do rehab in, particularly when they have a knee or an ankle type injury. And then also they'll come in here and do a little bit of speed work as well. It's got alternating currents, and we're able to do a lot of different things in that pool, from both a preventative measure and from just a workout measure, I guess you could say. But as you look throughout this whole athletic training room, we probably have, out of our close to 400 student athletes, we probably have at least half of those come through on a daily basis. This right here is mainly our treatment area. Kind of give you an insight on what we do with all these tables here. Sometimes it looks kind of like pit row, I guess you could say, during a NASCAR race. Early in the mornings when we start off at 6:30, 6:45 for our rehab sessions, some of the kids that have knee, ankle injuries, these kids that can't ambulate very well, we'll start them off actually right here on the tables, and then we'll move forward as far as getting them back into doing balance and proprioceptive type things. And then ultimately, like I always like to tell everybody, the real rehab is done on the other side of the wall in there with me in the weight room, where we have the finished product from our return to play concepts with these athletes after an injury. Over here in the back corner, we've got a Cybex machine, which is an isokinetic machine. We can go, and you can see the computer screen up, we can put athletes on that particular machine. It's not just a lower extremity, it's also an upper extremity machine where we can sit there and we can test. So if I've got an ACL kid that comes off, he's 4 months post, 5 months post-op, we can put them on that, and I can actually test them through different speeds of movement, and I can tell what their strength gains are or what their strength weaknesses are, and that kind of gives me an idea of what we need to do with that particular athlete moving forward to address those strengths and weaknesses. But that's basically about a $38,000 machine. Jim Gillespie and a lot of our alumnus have, over the course of about 4 years, helped us raise enough money to buy this particular machine, and that has probably been the one rehabilitative tool that we have here that is probably the most valuable to us. And you can see a lot of other different tools over here. We've got the balls that we can do core exercises on. We've got some of our balancing tools over here with the teeter-totter board. Right here we've got what we call the crank cycle. This is not a very good friend of any of our athletes when they have a shoulder injury, but it's just like a bicycle, but you get on it and you sit there and you were able to work out your upper extremities and go through the strength process there as well too. It's also good for ranges of motion. I always tell all of our athletes from day one when they get here to, pretty much the last day that they leave, this is always the place that all the work really starts, I guess you could say, especially after the injury process is concerned. We open the doors, like I said, in this facility early in the morning, and we treat all the way through until the last hour when these athletes are out of here.
Okay, listen, ladies and gentlemen, really appreciate your time here today, and I think you've got a better view of what we do here in this training room. I will tell you that Todd and his team, it's exhaustive, hard work. It's hard labor. They're in it before anyone, and they're long here after, and their focus is on getting these young kids healthy and back on the field, but more important, healthy for the rest of their lives. And Todd, anything you'd like to close with?
Well, I think it's very worthy of noting that I'm one person here, but as far as the staff and all of the people that really come together as our medical team, I think they all need to be somewhat recognized. As you well know, the Hub City is a very rich medical community. Starting with outside of this facility, we've got all the physicians at Southern Bone and Joint, the Hattiesburg Clinic, Forest General Hospital, and the physicians over at Wesley Hospital. And that's not to mention our dentist and all the subspecialties out there as well. I could not, and me and my staff could not do the job of providing the highest quality medical care possible to our student athletes if it was not for those people. Other than me and here within the university, I couldn't do my job without my staff as well. I've got 5 very, very qualified certified athletic trainers full-time that help me and assist me in taking care of all of our various student athletes across the board with different sports. I also have 4 graduate assisted athletic trainers, all certified by the NATA, and then we also have approximately right now, I'd say somewhere in the neighborhood of about a dozen student athletic trainers that help us take care of these athletes on a daily basis. And if it wasn't for those people, then we couldn't do our jobs effectively. So, and I really thank all those physicians and my staff for allowing me the ability to, run such a good program here.
Well, and that you do. We're so grateful. I want you to know that.
Well, thank
We're very
you.
grateful. You're a leader. You're a dedicated and caring person that puts these student athletes first. And I want everyone to know that. And that's really our message this week is another behind the scenes, one of the linemen doing the hard labor for our program. And no one does it better. No one does it more, longer, and harder than Todd McCall. And I think both Todd and I would like to wish you a Merry Christmas. And in
Absolutely.
closing, Southern Miss,
To the top.